What's up, you guys? This is the Authentic Empress. Okay. It's 5:05 on the clock right now. So earlier today, I kept hearing Boyfriend Number 2 playing in my head. And what's so crazy, I don't really like the song, never really been that big of a fan of the song. And so when I heard this song playing, I rebuked it, right? I rebuked the song, like, yeah, I'm not trying to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I'm not interested, I completely rebuked that song from playing within my crown. And the song just kept creeping back, right? So the message that the divine had gave me was, there's been so many people, even people who may have even participated, contributed, or gotten wind of you still being single, or you being single, or you being in situations where it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, whatever the case may be. And some of these people were literally praying on the downfall of your love life. People was praying for you to get your heart broken, to be mistreated, to be dogged out and stuff like that. Some of these people are exes. Some of these people are people who wanted to date you. Others are people who wanted to date the people that you were dating, or the people that were interested in you. People who were just envious and jealous of your essence, the impression that you leave on people, all that you embody, the way you look, the way you speak, the way you think, okay, your impact and your influence. So whatever their reasons may be, okay, you had literally several groups and individuals targeting your happiness, targeting your confidence, your self-esteem, okay? These are people who wanted to see you get your feelings hurt, wanted to hear that you was heartbroken, wanted to find out that, things are not things are not going the way that in an alignment with your heart's desire, so to speak, okay? So that's pretty much the message, okay? I don't know if there's something significant about this full moon that's amplifying that energy, but I will leave you guys with this. What's so important about whether people mistreat you or not, whether you feel like people wasted your time, people played you, people try to make you the butt end of a joke, people, meddled in your love life, meddled in your life in general in any way to try to throw you off kilter, disrupt your balance, disrupt your focus, your ambition, you believing in yourself, disrupt your faith, whatever that their end goal was. Here's the key. The key is to keep taking care of yourself. Keep tending to your mind and, healing your mind, healing your heart, taking care of your physical health, your body. Keep investing in yourself on a high vibration, okay? Don't settle for any low vibrations. Don't make anybody feel like because, something may be taking a while, that you shouldn't continue being, a person of wisdom or that honors your discernment, because it's a whole trick. That's why you see all over social media, you have groups of bitter women, you have groups of bitter men, you have all this distortion and confusion around love, unity, and discordance. This is all intentional to try to condition earth angels, or God's chosen ones, okay, to basically lessen themselves so that fallen angels and demonic beings and entities can have access to us. So not even just a matter of wanting to deter us away from God because they forfeited their covenant with the divine, but they still want to experience, anything close to God's essence, hence chosen ones, okay, divine masculines, divine feminines, okay? And so this is why they go so hard, they fight so hard, you know what I'm saying, to try and get us to stoop to their levels, come down off the hand of God, come down off our thrones, come out of the castle, step out of your mansion, okay? They want you to lower your worth, okay? Lower your value devalue yourself so they can have access to you on some ancient spiritual war shit, okay? So these people get very triggered, you know, when they see you or witness a divine masculine, a divine feminine that's very steadfast, like in their face, steadfast and wanting to improve themselves and self-actualize and, you know, strive for a higher version of themselves, you know, still have faith and belief and, you know, following their dreams, you know, as it pertains to their purpose or what they believe is their purpose, okay? You basically turning down offers, you know, that can trigger certain bad behaviors, bad habits, addictions. I remember, I'm not gonna, this is how I'm gonna share this particular portion. Imagine having a parent who acts as if, let's say a parent finds out that you smoke weed, and then that parent ridicules you or basically tries to make you feel less of a person because you smoke weed, and you know one of their rules is not for you to do that, you know, in their presence, and blah 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 blah. And let's say you get to the point where you overcome smoking weed, like you're sober, you're in a sober space, and that same parent offers you marijuana. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a push and pull that these people play. You know, these people who are being led or manipulated by demonic, you know, energies only to basically pull you down to a level where you're more malleable, okay, to demonic influence. Okay, so just understand that's what it's about. That's what it's for. Okay, don't allow anybody to deter you from God at the end of the day. Don't allow anyone to make you feel like you have to settle for less than what you deserve just because it may seem so rare just to align with somebody who's really genuine, who's really serious, you know, about standing for the divine. You know, you guys could be getting images or could be aligning on social media or in person with people who resonate with these same thought forms, people who are, you know, serious about their faith, you know, people who are enlightened to, you know, the different degrees of warfare that we're all experiencing, like on all levels, because it's about which form of warfare is going to overtake or overpower the soul, the vessel, right? So that's why there's all on all levels is going to be launched at all of us, okay? But I'm telling you, stay encouraged, you know, stay empowered. I don't care how bad something hurts. Do not do not feel like you have to settle for somebody that you know you don't really like them for real. Somebody that you know you're not really feeling it. It's not completely there, but they really feeling you, or they really crave you and desire you. Like, if you guys actually take a step back and pay attention to these people that totally disregard, you know, your feelings, disregard where you are at, you know, within your path, within your life. Okay, if you really pay attention to this lust that they have for you, these subtle manipulations, if you pay attention, you can kind of script away the face, strip away their skin, and really identify the demonic spirit that these people are being led by, okay? So I'm telling you, don't fall for the trick, don't fall for the trap, don't step into the grave, because sometimes these snares and graves manifest as people. Like, it manifests as people, places, and things, okay? It doesn't matter. It can manifest as people who share relative titles with you, okay? People who are quote-unquote family. Like, but don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. These people will try to make you feel like, oh, you're going to end up alone. You're never going to get what you want if you don't settle for, you know, something that got a little bit of evil to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want you to feel like that you cannot gain the desires of your heart, even though God said directly that he will grant us the desires of our heart. So just be mindful that we're always being tested, okay? We're always being tested. Anytime people want you to be in a state of doubt, you know, doubting your walk, doubting your faith, doubting all the seeds that you've sown, again, just lean more towards God. Lean more towards the evidence that it may not be in their face, okay? In a lot of cases, it's none of their business. You know what I'm saying? But God will give you evidence that the decisions that you are making, the seeds that you have sown, like are literally working for your good. They're coming into fruition. And this is why it's important to choose God above any and everything else, bro. I'm telling you, they will try to bait you with fear. Okay, they will try to manipulate you into like dangling things above your head that normally causes other people to submit. Okay, so I don't care if these people see you walking alone. I don't care if these people create these narratives that you're miserable or whatever, because you can stand alone. Whatever they need to tell themselves and one another to try and overcome their insecurities, their low self-esteem, the things about you that they look up to, that they're inspired by, that they're triggered by, okay? And so they rather try to tear you down with common folk. So be it. You know, I said one time before, you know, in a lot of cases, when you think about an empire, it's not a whole bunch of empresses. It's not a whole bunch of emperors. It's not a whole bunch of kings and queens. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot of common folk. There's a lot of, there's levels to it. But there's normally one emperor and one empress. Right? And it's levels to that. You know, there's people who now that's when it comes to legacy, how it should be with legacy. Heavy emphasis on your legacy as well. Keep your legacy at the forefront of your mind. Keep your legacy at the forefront of your mind, and understand that your ancestors, they are not only behind you, they are within you, they are around you, they are coming with you, they are assisting you. And there's a lot of people not only detached from their ancestors, but above all, they're detached from God, y'all. They're detached from source. So that means they're detached from self. And that's why they're so heavily addicted to being attached to others. Being attached to others, being attached to attention, being attached to money, being attached to materials, being attached to clout, being attached to whatever gives them a sense of fulfillment, but it's empty. It is empty. Don't allow these people to deceive you out of your spot, out of your position with God, bro. I don't care what they say, what they do, how many of them it is. An empress and an emperor, 9 times out of 10, is not thinking like the rest of the people in the empire. Even when you think about where that empress and emperor, that Hierophant, that high priestess, if you are a king, okay, if you are a knight, your goal from a page should be to elevate to a knight, a higher version of yourself. Your goal from a knight should be to elevate to a king or a queen. Your goal from a king or a queen should be to elevate to an emperor or empress. Your goal from an emperor or empress should be to elevate to the Hierophant and the high priestess, and above and beyond, the star. Right? And if you think about it, everybody is moving in that way. It's just some people are accepting cups from Satan to get there. Period. That's why Yeshua said, man shall not live on bread alone, but by every word of God. People are so easily susceptible to selling out for comfort. And this is why, you know, God says things like having a peace that surpasses understanding, because it's about your internal environment. That's why you're supposed to have an environment where God can dwell within you, a temple. Not everybody are still temples. Even if most people may start off as them, not everybody remain as temples. There are some people who are walking around in their abandoned houses. There are some people who are walking around in their crack houses. Shit, some of these people could be nice houses, but what's going on inside the house? There's no sound counsel inside the house. You get what I'm saying? So we have to take all these things into consideration. You know, we have to remain in a place where our gifts, our abilities, our akasha can continue to manifest, unfold, reveal itself, and no longer lie dormant within our DNA. You have to know and believe that every bit of who you are is of God. There can be an emphasis of, you know, your ancestors guiding you into digging deeper into your ancestry right now. Especially for melanated folk. You could be being called to, like, really, like, what tribes am I from? You know what I'm saying? Like, who am I? For real. Like, who am I in this lifetime? What am I dealing with? What am I really dealing with? Okay? Like, really taking deeper steps into understanding the warfare that you are dealing with, that the bloodlines that you're a part of are dealing with and facing. Okay? And even with that in mind, not everybody cares. And that's intentional. But God cares. Your ancestors care. The angels care. Your legacy, your seed, they care. You care. And because you care, you need to honor that. Honor that. Honor what you care about. And stop or no longer forfeit what you are passionate about, what you care about, for people who don't see the same vision, people who don't have the same reverence or even understanding, or the comprehension. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but what I've been noticing, like, in a lot of these social media, like, videos and pop the balloons and stuff like that, pop the balloon is a great example. Because when these people are asked questions, and you have, like, a few people that go on there who are serious, and they ask thought-provoking questions, or even simple questions, okay, but they still hold wisdom. And the way that these people be responding to these questions, they lack comprehension. Like, they lack comprehension of the question being asked of them. And so many people are so goddamn shallow and surface level that because there is the bulk of the people they're surrounded by are also shallow and surface level, they actually feel dignified. They actually feel empowered by the surrounding stupidity, mediocrity. They feel empowered by that. So I'm telling you, there's a lot of illusions surrounding us all, bro. But you don't have to be confused. If you stand with the divine, you don't ever have. It's a choice to be confused. When you think, it's a choice to be confused. It's a choice to accept any spirit that's knocking at your door. You don't have to answer the door to every spirit. Even God not going to force himself into nobody's house. That's why the scripture says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. God didn't say I kicked the door down. He said I stood at the door and I knocked. Either you going to answer the door or you not, bro. The Sinners movie, you have to welcome demons. You have to welcome the spirit of confusion. You have to welcome the spirit of fear. You have to welcome the spirit of insecurity, the spirit of lust, the spirit of wealth, the spirit of wisdom, who is a woman. The spirit of wisdom is feminine. Period. So don't submit to these women who are without wisdom. Just because her vessel may be feminine, that does not mean she houses the spirit of wisdom. And that's why God gave us Solomon, a man, a male vessel who accepted and welcomed the spirit of wisdom, of feminine. Again, we are both composed of feminine and masculine energy. Water, earth, feminine, air, fire, masculine. And at the core, you have your earth energy, your etherical energy. Dirt. Stardust. The roots of who you are, which is supposed to be God. It's supposed to be God. I knew you before you entered your mother's womb. We cannot continue sitting the intelligence, the wisdom, the knowledge, the wisdom gained from experiences that God provides us through our own lives. We cannot continue just flushing it down, putting it on the shelf, disregarding it, covering it up for our family who don't want to pick up the staff, or those friends, those business partnerships. I don't care how big the payout. I don't care how much the money is that they're offering you. I guarantee you God can give you more than that. I guarantee you. God can give you more. It don't matter what they do to try to stop your money, slow your money down, try to mess with your home situation, try to mess with your car and your vehicle. I done had people do all that to me. And yet I'm still here, full of wisdom, full of understanding, full of power, full of anointing. God giving me experiences that, bro, like I can't explain it. But besides, God did. God did it. Like, I'm telling you, like, do not bow. Do not bow to anything, housing, any form of demonic energy, especially if they're allowing that to drive who they are overall. This is not to say that people won't face challenges. Of course. It's a war. I'm hearing there's a storm out on the ocean and it's moving this way. If your soul's not anchored in Jesus, and now I'm not talking about that white man. I'm talking about Yeshua. I'm talking about Yahweh. I'm talking about the most. I'm talking about Elohim. I'm not talking about that homosexual that they call Jesus. Yeah, I said it. Like, this is nothing new. Like, when it comes to people like that who want to battle with you about Yeshua's true identity, when the Bible literally describes his true identity, you don't have time. There's no time to waste with people like that. For what? They got a lot of growing to do. But that's the thing. God is not going to fight you on your free will. So why are we fighting other people with their free will? People clearly do what they want to do. And that's why they're willing to hurt you. They're willing to betray you. They're willing to abuse your confidence. They're willing to exploit your vulnerability. They're willing to exploit your personal life for attention, to feel cool. That's why they're willing to bow down to Satan for kingdoms. They're willing to bow down to Satan for bread. They're willing to bow down to Satan for money. They're willing to bow down to Satan for bitches. They're willing to bow down for Satan for... Bruh. To whom much is given, much is required, bro. Understand these people, they run in groups. They run in principalities. They run this way because they are not in touch with the divine and the thousands of angels that are assigned to them. It's okay, man. You're supposed to be a hopeful individual. You're supposed to, you're supposed. Oh my God, bro. All these things about you. That seems finite when you think about it. When it comes to people's character, people still having integrity, bro. Don't allow these people to forfeit you from obtaining the fullness of your divine inheritance. You can have that family that you desire. You will have that family you desire. You will have that husband, that wife that you desire. You will have that legacy, those children. You will. You will. You will. You will. You will. Your will. Your free will. Not theirs. The only way somebody else's free will can override yours is if you submit to their will. If you submit to their will and detach your will from God's will, that's the only way these people can manifest what they desire for you in your life. You have to submit to it. You have to submit to it. And if anybody is operating that way with you, and you know something is hurting your feelings, something don't feel right, something it just don't feel right, something's not right about it, trust that. If something's not right about it, trust it. If you feel like something is wrong, honor your feelings. Honor what you feel. Honor what you sense. Ask more questions. Do more research. Seek more clarity. You have the right to do so. You have the right to be vigilant. Vigilance is a spirit of God. Imagine walking through the valley of the shadow of death with no vigilance. And that's why God gives us so many examples of people who are birthed into this world who are deaf. They don't have hearing, physical hearing. People who are birthed into this world and they're blind. They don't have physical sight. But you see how miraculous and shamanic these people move. How sensitive to energy and frequency these people typically are. Do not be deceived by how things appear. Do not be deceived by the flesh, bro. I feel like that's the biggest conditioning that they've done and launched on people, on the masses. Deceiving people when it comes to the flesh, the skin, the outer appearance of something. Maybe you don't look like what these people think you're supposed to look like to be considered top tier or high caliber, okay? But when you open up your mouth, when you express yourself, even if that's not through verbal words, when you express yourself, when these people see what you produce, your fruits, you will know them by their fruits. You know, so many people think that that only pertains to how much money somebody has gained, the materials that people have. It's deception. It is deception. Naked I came into this world, naked I shall leave. Satan and those fake ass friends of Job, okay, who allowed themselves to be used by the devil. They were deceived by how things appear. They was deceived by his wealth, the things outside of him, his materials, his money. And this is why his spirit was tested. Because when he was stripped of all of that, even his health, his spirit, his soul, his character showed why he deserved everything that God blessed him with. Why he deserved it. Why it was him and not them. Naked I came into this world, naked I shall leave. After he has tried me, I shall come forth as pure gold. So people gonna try to fire you. They're gonna try to cancel you. Okay, they're gonna try to burn you up at the stake. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. But you're going to come forth as long as you stay with God. Even when all these people turn on you, even if it's your spouse, even if somebody that you love so deeply and they turn on you too, do not turn away from God. Don't curse God. Don't turn away from God, because God respects us enough to allow us to operate from our free will instead of just controlling us like we some type of robots. That's how God operates. So why would you blame God for a man or woman making a decision against you, even though you've invested so much love, so much loyalty, so much devoutness, so much kindness into that person, and they still betrayed you? You can only control yourself. You can't control nobody else, and that was not God's doing. Free will is God's doing. Giving us free will. Loving us enough to allow us to make our own decisions and choices. You have the option to ask God for guidance. You have the option to ask God for assistance and to lead you, to guide your steps. That's why there are scriptures literally worded that way. Ask and you shall receive. All praise is due to the Most High.